stand. Come on, here.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You may have a seat, and we'll call you up in just a minute. It's not working.
Oh, oh.
So are we going to wait until we do the recycle thing? Okay. Okay, so let's go on to our next item. Number 4, review board meeting guidelines. And as you're doing that, board members, you're going to be picking one for tonight. I just wanted to bring a thought up to everyone that we might want to look at some of these and see how we feel about whether we need to reflect on it at every meeting or just having it on the table, reflecting on it. It would save us. So for tonight, let's pick one. Okay, so let's move on. We all got one. And now, approval of agenda. Do we have a motion for that?
I'd like to move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
And I think this is probably the time I want to say it. We have an agenda item on here, number 8H. That's called the format for minutes. And when I met with Bernie at that time, I was told it would not be on the agenda this meeting. And so therefore, I didn't realize it was on until I started highlighting this tonight because I already know what all the agenda items are. We did have an extra backup for one of the other items, which I was made aware of, so I was able to study that. So I'd like to ask the board if we could table this item till the next meeting so that at that time, I can bring the notes I would like to share instead of everybody talking and my stuff is at home. So we have a motion.
I motion to table item 8H.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. So now, we made a motion to approve the agenda with that deletion.
Might I just make an announcement? It does appear that the sound is not working as well as usual, so if we would speak loudly,
Okay.
maybe the microphones can pick it up, but if not, at least our voices might be heard in the audience.
Okay, sorry. We'll talk much louder. Is that good?
Yep.
Is that better? Okay. So we just asked that one of the items be tabled for the next meeting. And I think we just got a motion and a second on it, so I asked, is all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Maria? Oh, she went away.
We don't need a roll call on that. No, okay,
We already
okay.
voted.
Yeah,
But I mean,
okay.
She's not here to know we did it.
I can do that.
So good enough? Okay. So let's move on to special presentations. Yeah. 6A, Recycled Art Gallery at Susan B. Anthony Elementary School.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So the sounds on the mics are not working?
I hear you.
Okay, so, well, yeah, I have a big voice. But, so you guys will talk loud. So these are some representatives of Susan B. Anthony. And as most of you know, we do 2 art galleries a year. And our second one is, hovers around Earth Day, April 22nd. It's our Recycled Art Gallery. And we thought it would be really nice for some of our students to share their art, what inspired them, and what materials that they use. So that's what we're going to do. And we also have a video to show, but there's no sound, so, but there's really great music, so we can maybe all sing along later. Okay.
Hello, my name is Delina Dist, and I am in room 21 at SBA. We make collages from recycled things. We use maps and recycled picture books. I also use flags that were on my map. We have had this map in our room for a long time. I really love maps. At first, I wanted to put all of the flags on the whole world map. Then I thought that would take too long, and Miss Robinson said that the whole map would take up too much space. So I decided to just use Africa because I love my country, Ethiopia, and it is in Africa. I also like the flags and animals of Africa. I saw the page with Martin Luther King on the floor, and I knew he was African American, and I liked that. Miss Robinson said it would look nice with Africa near Martin Luther King. I decided to have his hand touching Africa because he was from Africa and America. I thought it would make sense to put the African flags near the American flag because Martin Luther King was a proud African American, and so am I. Good evening. My name is Ibrahim Al-Gathi. I'm in the 3rd grade at Susan B. Anthony. We made recycling art of the Statue of Liberty made of styrofoam. The Statue of Liberty means welcome to everybody coming to this country. My grandfather is from Yemen, and he saw the Statue of Liberty in Yemen, in New York. I have never seen the Statue of Liberty, but one day I am going to go see it. Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Alexa Ramirez Cardozo, and I am in the 3rd grade. Our recycled art project was pretty simple. It was to make a robot starting with a mint tin, then find whatever we can around the house to decorate the robot. I was inspired about the artist Alexander Calder, who used to find anything in his garage to make art. I used 4 beads, 8 Shopkins, a pom-pom, 2 screws, a wire, a light bulb, and something I am not sure what it is to make my robot. Doing this project inspired me to be really artistic. I learned we can make art with just anything laying around the house. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Adriana Gonzalez, and I'm a 4th grader at Susan B. Anthony. Today I would like to talk to you about our yearly recycled art project. This year my class made a rainbow fish. We used old CDs, markers, and recycled paper. The fish turned out really cool and beautiful. Recycling material is good for our environment because it helps keep our oceans and wildlife clean and safe. By doing this project, I feel that it also teaches us the life skill of being resourceful and using what we have. Thank you.
And now this is a slideshow of some things I put together of everything that we had at the school, and there was some great music behind it.
Great music. Great music.
If the audio works. Kinda.
Really good music.
What is the song?
Safe and Sound.
by Capital Cities.
Too late.
take a tour.
And the kids were talking about the art and reading what Mr.
You're
Felix
making
put up.
really great comments.
So awesome.
Try to listen to the song.
So is the artwork already taken down?
No.
No,
No, it's
most
all
of
up.
it's still up because of open house that's coming up.
Okay, maybe we can get over there.
I hope you do.
Well, everyone.
Well, that was really inspiring to see the work that all of you students did. I commend you all, and I'm really impressed by the knowledge that you all have. It was creative, but you were also teaching us tonight. So keep up the great work, and you're doing something good for the environment. I like how you mentioned that one life skill that you were learning was being resourceful. So keep up the great work, all of you.
I'm quite impressed myself. Sorry, I'm trying to speak up as loud as I can. What I really love is that we live in a time when kids always want something new. Everybody's like, I want something new all the time, and we're always about just being fast-paced. But the fact that you were able to really be resourceful and use materials that you see every day and be creative with them and really add your perspective. But what I heard tonight from a few of you, which for me was a glimpse of hope, was how you shared your diversity and your ownership of your own identity, but also identifying iconic symbols in our country that you identified as, gateways into this country. When we're facing the climate that we are, when you're watching the news and you're seeing a lot of this negativity surround you, and maybe even adults around you talk about it, tonight you actually shared a different perspective, a very positive perspective. And I want to thank your teachers and your principal, because I know that comes from them instilling that through conversations and the lessons that you are learning. So I love that you're being resourceful. I love that you guys do that, and I hope that you continue to do that and teach us to do a better job at it. So thank you very, very much.
I want to say thanks to all students for presenting, and looked like a great set of artworks from across all the classes. So I want to thank the school and the staff for helping put that together. And I'm also going to make a note that Capital City's Safe and Sound is a great song, and I wish this song was played. So, but I want to say thank you again.
So I also want to thank the students, the principal, the teachers who were involved in all this, because, and also the parents, because I'm sure that they come to you quite often for resources. This was a great, I enjoyed it. I loved when you got up and spoke, and how proud you were of what you did, how proud you are of your background and where your family came from, and that how connected everything is and the love that you showed. Today it was all about love, and I like that a lot. It's amazing. We go through some hard times sometimes with watching the news. I constantly turning it off because I'm tired of hearing this. It's like, yeah, I want to hear some positive, wonderful things. I wish we could take you on TV and let people see what we have for the future. We have you guys. So keep up the spirit, keep up all that you're doing. You're wonderful. We love you dearly, and we're going to see a lot more of you around. But you guys were great. Thank you so much. And I want to do my very best. Is open house Thursday?
A week.
Oh, good. Okay. I have a couple of days. Okay. I really want to come and see it, okay? So if you see me in the hallway, just say hi. All right. So thank you so much. All right. Let's move on then.
Certificates.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, gosh. So impressed with the, hold on, I'm forgetting. So we have 4. So just enough for each one of us to have it? And for you? Okay. Would you be the first one to do it? Sure. You, Sue.
birth certificate is for Angelina. That's
Appreciation is for Ibrahim. Ibrahim, you gotta tell me your last name.
Al-Gaifi.
Al-Gaifi to Ibrahim Al-Gaifi.
all right.
Oh, you do go.
I have a certificate for Adriana Gonzalez.
Wish this was $100.
Oh, boy.
So this is the certificate of appreciation for participating in the flag ceremony and the special presentation. This is for Alexa Ramirez. All right. I'll be the first one. Okay. So now we can move on to our next item. Did I hear something? Oh, someone's phone. You might better have me shut mine off. Okay, communications, board members, acknowledgements, and accommodations. Let's start with you.
Okay, cool. Last night I went to the JESD Joint Middle School Band Concert, and I just want to commend all the students who participated in that. They did a great job. It was a mix of a whole bunch of different music. And I want to also specifically thank the teachers at the band teacher at Fernando, FDR, Ben Franklin, and TRP for helping them get to where they were. They did a great job. And I just want and I hope next year it's even better. Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed that, but I believe there's another one this Friday. Is that correct?
Yes.
At FDR? Awesome. I look forward to attending that. I know that we usually save this to the end, but I also know that we don't always have a good crowd at the end, so I want to be sure to share this. May 1st was a great day of action with a lot of the teachers and students throughout the city. I thought it was a great response from people that passed by during that time. I also did want to announce again, I think I mentioned it before, that this Saturday, unfortunately all the way in East Palo Alto, but if you're willing to take the drive, there's Reading Bonanza that they're partnering with First Book with a lot of great opportunities to get free books and other free giveaways. I think they're also raffling off laptops from Facebook. I think 6 laptops, and I think one of my kids was fortunate to get one year. I'm excited about Friday's JESD award ceremony. I always look forward to that. And lastly, it's Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I'm really excited about that. I understand that the council had a resolution, a proclamation, and announcing and celebrating it as a city. And next Saturday, May 20th, is the Shine Family Day event at Jefferson High School. And it's a free festival, a lot of great food, a lot of great entertainment, and it is a culmination, a celebration of Pacific Islander heritage and culture. And my son, Reno Anua'i, will be performing there and kicking off 2 of his newest singles you can get on iTunes. I'm just taking advantage of this opportunity for Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I do want to mention there's a lot of wonderful things happening and celebrations that are happening throughout. Unfortunately, I do want to mention that Ngange Tuatangaloa had passed away just this weekend, and he was actually the founder of the Barents, Cal Bear Barents organization. He founded it many years ago and created this tailgate around all of the sports at Cal, and unfortunately he passed away suddenly. His son is also Natu Tuatangaloa, unfortunately for me, swore me in when I took the seat, and he was the first Samoan Pacific Islander to serve on any school board in California, and he resides right here in San Rafael. So I did want to mention and highlight that because of his great work in the community and his son's great work in the community, and in honor of Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Thank you.
So, all For me, unfortunately, I did miss the concert. We had a death in our family, and it required that I go away, and I missed that. So, other than that, trying to think what I can't think lately what's happening, but I did miss some of the activities that we had to. But I did want to say that the art thing tonight was just wonderful, and can't say enough about that. Also, we have a lot of exciting things coming at the end of the year, so we're going to be really busy and into lots of things. And being proud of our students, and we really are. We're proud of our students, we're proud of our teachers, proud of everything that's happening in our district. We do have a really good district. So I just want to say congratulations to everybody, and I'll be seeing celebration this Friday and next week, and the whole rest of the month is all kinds of things. And I can't believe it's the end of the school year almost, and there'll be the graduations. That is unbelievable. Okay, so I'm not going to say.
No.
Oh, I missed you.
No. You asked me first, and I said no.
Oh, I thought you wanted to go last. Okay.
I'm
sorry.
passing.
Okay. So with that, let's, and we can think of something to say at the end if we have to. Okay, so the next one is the administrator's comment. So we start with.
Oh, I guess this isn't working, huh? I just want to again say that the students that left it, they were so excited when they got the awards. It was like, it's very, very wonderful to see them that excited, and just the diversity that this district has, and then the teaching of recycling things and using less, and for you to suggest that we would like to learn from them, because what they're learning now, when they grow older, they will be teaching to the next generation. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. We've come a long way. There's a long way to go, but we're doing what we can do, and I think that's wonderful.
So this next month is very busy. It's the end of the school year, as you mentioned. Last night's performance, one of the best. I mean, they sounded really good. So I encourage everyone to join in the future joint band concert performances. And then we also have next Tuesday is our Parent Involvement Advisory Committee combined with our District English Language Advisory Committee, PIAC and DLAC, and that's the committee that's going to be looking at the LCAP draft, which we'll be bringing to you, and that's the required committees that need to approve to bring to the board. So that's next Tuesday at 6 p.m. at the district office, so parents that are part of either of those committees, encourage you to attend so that you can see the draft of our district's plan.
Well, I know they've talked a lot about the band show, but it was terrific, and it was great. It was really great to see the seamlessness as each conductor got up, just went right into it. They all had their own different little groove going, but it was great. It was nice to see the students respond so well. Also, I'd like to remind our colleagues that we're having our Employee Appreciation Afternoon Day on the 31st of May. This time it's a little different. It's going to be at Colma Community Center. So I better scout out the parking at the student recognition on Friday. So hope you all can make it.
I don't have any additional comments except to echo what everyone else has already mentioned. But I am continually and regularly amazed at the incredible diversity of our student body and of their deep reflection on not only who they are and what they're becoming, but of where they are, and also the mixture that comes with integrating their own backgrounds with their current country and that of their friends at their school sites. It's just, I always say we are the luckiest to work in this community. We have the right learning lab for learning about acceptance and diversity and working with each other.
So with that, and I also wanted to say, not only do we have our teachers and everybody, parents working on this stuff, you know, our children are also taught by, believe it or not, Allied Waste. They come and they show. The fire department comes and shows them things. So it's a community. It's everybody coming together so that they're not hearing it from one, but they're hearing it from all. which is really important. So I think we're blessed to have all those people willing to help us out. So thank you. So now we got to go to D, which is persons wishing to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. I have one, the first one I got, I think is Ron Johnson, a teacher. Ron?
Hi, good evening. It's nice to be back again. I came to address you about the use of the Measure T funds. I was out there in the mornings passing out literature to parents, promoting the passage of Measure T. I remember spending evenings phone banking for it, and I remember very clearly one of the passages in it that said that the money, one of the things the money would be used for would be to retain and attract highly qualified teachers. Now, I don't think I'm being egotistical here when I say that as one of those highly qualified teachers, one of the best ways to use those fundings to retain teachers like me would be to put some of the funds toward improving teacher salaries. And I was very shocked when I heard that none of the funding from Measure T was going to be used for that purpose. So I just, I'm still shocked at that. And I don't see how that can be fulfilling the promise that we made, because I was out there making that promise too, to the voters of Daly City that voted in a measure that in part said part of what they were going to be contributing their hard-earned money to in taxes was to retaining and attracting highly qualified teachers. Why not? That's my question. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Pamela DiGiovanni.
Hi, good evening. Excuse my throat as well. Honorable board members. First, I'd like to say to our honorable, I call honorable foe, please forgive me, that in celebration of the API Heritage Month, you do so much with your community to celebrate not just your community, but you embrace everyone with all the events that you do and with heart. And so I celebrate you, and especially being on our school board as a representation of our diversity and as reflected in our students here tonight. Secondly, I just want to give everyone an update on our public safety and the status of where it is. And it is reflective, and it does affect our schools because, and our parents and our community, is that we currently have only 15 firefighters on duty every day in our city. And mainly, we are now North County Fire with Brisbane and Pacifica, but it's mainly our Daly City firefighters that go out and respond to Skyline Drive for auto accidents and have to respond to Brisbane because they're a smaller unit. And I just want them to be aware. And we only have currently 6 police officers for every 1,000 residents in Daly City. This is just to be aware. They are all, as you know, are doing the best they can and don't know what's going to change. 95 is still, that one engine is still shut down currently. So let's hope things change in that particular manner. Thirdly, I'd like to celebrate the teachers as well and thank them for being on the corners. Again, Honorable Foe was there, and just to say that we support public education, no deportation, and they're not giving up the fight. And we have some of the best public schools and a lot to be proud of with the board, administrators, and the teachers, and the staff. And it's a lot to be celebrated because it is community, as Honorable Rasuela said. It's about everybody. And when you go in the stores, you see the children and the parents. They're so proud of their schools. I say, what school do you go to? Oh, I go to Pauline Brown. I go to, you know, and it's a celebration for someone that doesn't even have children. But I love this community, and I thank all of you. Thank you very much.
the next item is number 8A, our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. So, we made the motion, now we have to call roll call.
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Manufo.
Manufo, okay, thank you. Mr. Ali?
Aye.
Miss Leah Inga Anawai?
Aye.
Mr. Koo?
Aye.
Mrs. Brizuela?
Aye. So the next one is resolution number 170510A, Classified Employees Week.
This is, it's working now. So this is the month of acknowledgements of different school employees, and so Classified Employees Week is coming up at the end of the month, and wanted the board to have an opportunity to pass a resolution in their honor.
So we have a motion on this?
I move that we adopt resolution number 17-05-10A, designating the week of May 21st through 27th, 2017 as Classified Employees Week.
Second.
We had to do it here. Which one wins?
Board Trustee Koo.
All right, so, we need to, it's a resolution, so we need to
Roll
take a
call.
vote on it.
Mr.
Can you
Ali?
call
Aye.
Miss Leah Inga Anawai?
Aye.
Mr. Koo?
Aye.
Mrs. Brizuela?
it? Aye. Okay, so that passed. Next one, administrative appointments. Would you like to take that one?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's under Bernie.
It is under Bernie, but
Everything is under me, so
Yes.
Mr. Valenti can take it.
surrogate. Well, as you all know, we had two administrative openings, one at FDR and one at Susan B. Anthony. And certainly with the help of my colleagues, we were able to put together a strong panel with teachers and representatives of all the different constituencies at the schools, and had a very exhaustive interview process, and were fortunate enough to come and be able to offer positions to Mr. Sean Higgins for the FDR position, and Mr. Charlie Rohrbach for the Susan B. Anthony position. Both of them came very well recommended, and I think, quite frankly, their former schools are going to be missing them quite a bit, and we just wanted to welcome them very much, and I'd like to have them come up and be introduced and maybe say a word or two. All right?
Let's have them vote first, so make sure that...
After you vote.
After you vote.
That's why he's in the room.
But that's procedure.
I got it.
So, can we have a motion on this?
Yeah. We were waiting.
Somebody make a motion?
I move that we approve the administrative appointments for Sean Higgins and Charles Rohrbach.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Now it passed.
All right.
So now we welcome you to come up,
Want to come up first, Sean, or you come both up?
and you can speak to the board.
So thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a principal of Roosevelt. I actually was a teacher at Roosevelt in Redwood City, where I'm currently administrator, many years ago, before I became an administrator. I am very grateful to be working here. I know a few people that work in this district, and I know a few more people who know people that work in this district, and they all say great things about the people and the climate and everything about this district. So I'm very excited. I will miss, it's bittersweet because I do love my current school, but I'm going to take the experiences that I've had and bring them here and work with all of you, with the school constituents, with the students, to do what's best for the Daly City schools and for the Daly City students, and specifically for the Roosevelt students. So thank you.
Good evening, members of the school board, Superintendent Vidalis, and of course the cabinet. I'm proud to be officially approved as the next principal of Susan B. Anthony. Elementary School. I look forward to working in Daly City, in the Jefferson Elementary School District, and of course at Susan B. Anthony. I currently have commitments to working in Palo Alto until June 30th, but I promise you after that I'm all in. I know that, I believe the principal was here, but from everything I've read and heard, you know, she's done an incredible job, and the school site functions at a very high level. I look forward to working with her to gain her insight and to continue the great work that the school currently does. On a personal note, I would just like to say that I have a wife who works in the San Mateo Union High School District for the past 25 years. I have 2 kids, 4th and 5th graders, so education is always on the forefront of our minds. And the last thing I'd say, because Brent has told me I only have 1 minute, is that I'm very passionate about education, and I make it a point to know everything about every child at the school, and I look forward to going to work with this community.
Thank you. And welcome to the gang. We're happy to have you. Okay, so let's move on to D, the Personnel Commission 2016 Annual Report.
Me again.
Do we get sound on this one? No.
Oh, you get sound.
So it's all working better now for everybody, or which is yours?
See.
Don't know.
We'll see. All right.
Give one to
Want to wait? That's after they do this. So shall I pass this out after?
That's just for your background.
Oh, all right.
Just more of the details.
All right. Hey, Mark's not covered.
Should I get on this here?
It's all right. That's probably the original.
Only, I had to make a couple of black and whites because we were short.
I saw black and white.
Oh, I thought I just had the original.
It's black and white,
She needs to-
unlike our highlighted one.
It's a beautiful, beautiful.
It's beautiful. Best black and white I could do. So thank you, everybody, for your time tonight. I'd just like to take a few minutes just before my presentation to introduce and recognize my colleagues in the Personnel Commission, Mr. Dennis Shreve, and there we go. You'll stand up. There we go. And Ms. Sonia Reyes over there. Unfortunately, thank you for coming and giving me my back. Mr. Appella unfortunately couldn't make it tonight. So I'm just going to take some time, just a few minutes to focus on some of the highlights of the Personnel Commission that has taken place over this year. So I wanted to start out with our goals. So the goals of the Personnel Commission are varied. Primarily, though, we want to make sure we apply the rules and regulations fairly to all classified staff. We want to make sure we maintain recruitment selection systems based on our merit system principles that have been established over the time that the Personnel Commission was established. We've been really working to increase the use of electronic application and recruitment procedures in order to reach a broader group of employees, more specifically EdJoin and ZipRecruiter, things of that nature. We've been working also to update testing materials to make sure that they accurately assess the classification's job responsibilities. In some cases, you're going to have, for example, questions about the technology, or excuse me, about, for example, the technology they're being tested on that they're going to be using inside their work. Did I make a boo-boo? Oh, well, sorry. Provide in-service opportunities for all classifications. To coordinate and monitor the employee performance evaluation systems and to communicate regularly with the governing board regarding personnel commission activities. In doing this, our hope is, of course, to maintain an effective classification plan and efficient personnel operations. Some other highlights, I did introduce my colleagues here, Mr. Dennis Shreve, the representative for CSCA, who's also elected as the chair. Mr. Ron Appel, he's continuing as the board's representative on the commission. And Ms. Sonia Reyes is continuing as a representative appointed by the commissioners, as well as our vice chair. This year, as in every year, we do go to some professional development workshops. So myself, Mr. Shreve, Mr. Appel, and this year Ms. Lisa Sue participate in the professional development workshops for the California School Personnel Commission Association Conference in San Francisco in February. And also, this year we tried to stretch our site visits. We had 3 instead of 2, and we actually met very good, strong meetings with the staffs at Ben Franklin, Garden Village, and Westlake. Some other things I'd like to point out is that right now the district's currently employing 263 regular classified staff. Exams have been given for 17 different classifications. We've, as I mentioned earlier, increased the use of electronic applications as well as testing procedures. And we've had 5 employees promoted to positions at higher pay levels. 5 employees have had increasing work hours, and 5 have retired. As far as professional development opportunities that we put out there for our classified staff, depending on the different classification, it might be more of one than the other, but in general, having safety, injury, and illness prevention, professional development, professional behavior in the workplace, the child abuse reporting trainings, English language development instruction, positive behavior classroom management strategies, Common Core state standard professional development, and how to work with students that have special needs, whether they be special ed or non-special ed, and working on looking at student data and budgeting tracking, as well as after-school activities. When we work with, particularly when we have our interviews, we really need to reach out to different communities to try to get folks to interview the candidates. So I really want to take a moment to thank the individuals from the different groups that work with us. They're up there: Daly City Park and Recs, Jefferson Union High School District, Pacifica School District, retirees of the Jefferson Elementary School District who often come back for us, the San Francisco Unified School District, San Mateo County Office of Ed, the Community College District, and the South San Francisco Park and Recreation. So that is my quick, short, down and dirty presentation. You have some details as well relative to budget expenditures between this year and last year. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask you a question. When you listed the thank yous at the end, acknowledgements at the end, it is San Francisco Unified, or was it South San Francisco Unified?
Both have helped us. That have sat on our interview committees?
Yeah, no, it's on the bottom, it says South San Francisco Park and Recreation, but above, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have had people, I misspoke though. I read that as San Francisco or South San Francisco Unified.
Oh, you read it, but it says.
I see that,
Okay.
yes, I made a mistake in
I
order.
was
But they've,
reading-
no, I see that.
Okay, yeah, because I thought it would be.
And we've
straight.
had people from South San Francisco Unified, so I'm sorry it's not represented up there.
Okay, all right, that's,
Okay.
they've always been good about coming.
No, we've been very lucky. Any other?
Two of these, we've got a-
You can take the color one.
Oh, well, we have one for Rebecca.
Any other questions or comments, or?
No,
All right.
thank you, it's a very nice report.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank our personal commissioners who came tonight. Thank you for coming. Yeah, well, we didn't have to, we weren't going to say that.
I saw it on your faces.
Well, it was sort of a shock. You know?
It doesn't get caught in spell check for the spell, right?
You know what? That's what happens.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. We don't mind. Okay. So let's move on. Do we have to accept it? We acknowledge receiving it?
Just informational discussion.
I think we, since it's part of what they're supposed to do, I think it'd be nice if we just voted to accept, to acknowledge receiving it.
Why don't we do that at the next meeting? It's not
It's not
agendized as an action item, so we'll go ahead and put it at the next meeting to accept it.
Oh, okay. No, don't be silly. Okay. All right, so the next ones are all start items. The last one was table. So 9A, English language development updates.
So I'd like to invite Benjamin Mosier, who is our English Language Development Program Director, and his team, Patty Viscara and Anna Garcia. They're going to come and present. If you can turn that on.
All right. Well, we'll just back it up.
We haven't
Don't
had
look.
audio the last 2
Don't look.
years. This doesn't work anymore.
What's happening?
There we go.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be here this evening and co-present with Anna Garcia and Patty Viscara. So we're going to take a peek at the year and talk about an assessment that's leaving us, an assessment that is replacing one, and then a couple initiatives that we have in the district. So to begin, I've been here a number of years, but I wanted to share where we are with Celt, progress, and proficiency. So we had, and excuse me, this is on an automatic timer, I realize, because we've had this, we were looping portions of this at another presentation. So, yeah, can you fix that? That'd be great. Thank you.
Can't talk that fast.
Right. I said, we were told we had
15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 15 minutes. And man, this really puts the pressure on. Here we go. So we had 2,436 annual Celt testers this year, and a little over 1,600 made annual progress. That means they moved up one level on Celt. So you can see compared to last year, we continue to show growth. For the middle section, that's the percent of children who are attaining English proficiency fewer than 5 years. And so there were 870 students in the cohort, 870 who did attain English proficiency, which means they were advanced or early advanced on Celt. And then those for more than 5 years, you see that we were at 56% who met that goal. So we continue to increase, and this has been a pattern pretty much as long as I've been in this position. We can continue to show growth in all of these areas. So I mentioned that Celt is disappearing. Celt will be replaced by the LPAC. And that is, I have to look at my note, it's not memorized quite yet, but the English Language Proficiency Assessments in California. So I'll just point out a couple changes. One is that there will actually be 2 types of tests. We'll have a shorter one for our initial students who arrive in the fall. And then we will have a summative test for all students in the springtime. So right now, we currently do all our annual testing in the fall. That's going to shift to the springtime. Another big change is the grade spans, as far as we're going to have separate test booklets for kindergarten and first grade. And so with Celt, they actually had the same examination, and for a TK or kinder with 30 days under his or her belt, it was up here as far as the level of difficulty. So Ms. Garcia and I actually field tested at a couple sites with a couple teachers this spring in kinder, first, and the middle school. And although the test was more rigorous than Celt, it definitely was much more age appropriate. So I wanted to point out that, you know, this changes once every 15 years, and what brought this about? The new ELD standards. So we have a new assessment aligned to the new standards. And so with that, I wanted to begin with a little data, but then I wanted to get into what we've been doing this year. And with that, I'd like to reintroduce Ms. Viscara.
Hi. This is a lot more nerve-wracking than being in front of the classroom.
So I am a TIG teacher slash teacher leader at JFK along with Miss Poppin, who's another teacher leader. And that's a position that the ELD department created this year to have leaders at the school that could help those who are going through the training right now for the systematic ELD program. And what we are doing as teacher leaders is we are doing what's called learning walks, where pretty much it's another word for teacher observations, and we're observing each other. In a way, it's like having a professional development at our school for the teachers to improve their teaching and as well as the student performance. There's 4 steps to having a learning walk. There's the planning stage where we work with the administrator in getting substitutes and planning schedules and who will be observed. Then step 2 is a pre-visit meeting where we will meet with the teachers who will be doing the observations to pinpoint what they want to see, what they want to focus on. The 3rd step is the actual visit, which we have 2 videos we'll show you in a second. And finally, we end with a post-visit meeting where we talk about what did you see, what are the next steps, etc. So the next 2 slides you'll be observing will focus on the lesson objective, and you'll see the objective on the slide. And we asked the teachers who were observing these 2 classes to see if they saw if the objective was met. The first class is a 3rd grade class with Miss Poppin, and then the second video will be a 5th grade class with myself. So let me go ahead and, here, I hope the sound works.
We haven't had it in a while.
Wishful thinking?
Yep.
Well, I didn't memorize what she said, but basically, she has a huge class. She has a class of 26. And they're 3rd graders, they're intermediate English language learners. And she's going over a routine of describing Peter from Peter and the Wolf using adjectives. In this video, it was pretty cute. She was saying how Peter is a very sneaky boy, and the kids loved repeating that. To the right, you see Miss Ray Lewis, who is going through the training with the systematic ELD program, and she was the one going through the teacher walk and focusing on seeing if the objective was met. The next video is myself. I have 5th grade intermediate kids, and our objective was to use the conjunctions because and when to show cause and effect. And the kids were very involved. They loved using the materials, the cards, and we did a lot of repeating, echoing, where I would say the sentence and they would repeat after me. And you don't see her here, but Miss Halecki, who's a 3rd grade teacher going through the training, was the one observing this teacher class, which is me. Let me skip through that. So finally, we ended with our post meeting where we met with the teacher to look back at what they saw, to identify the strengths and see where do we want to focus next, what would you like to see next time, what did you see that worked well, maybe what did you see that you didn't think worked well, and we're working together so that it's not like what you did wrong, it's more of, what did you see that could help you to improve your teaching. I'd like to end this slide with a quote that I found from Dr. Hirsch. She's an executive of a Learning Forward Professional Learning Association, and she said, "The most positive benefit of teacher-to-teacher observation is that it makes teaching a public rather than a private act." For many years, the teachers have been behind their closed doors, and a lot of us curious minds want to know what's going on in there. And now we're able to go in and look in the classrooms and see how great all the teachers are in this district and what we can learn from each other. And with that.
Can I ask a question before?
Of course. Yes.
So the teacher walks. I was a little confused because you're one of the teacher leaders, so you go and observe, but there's teachers that also come and observe or go and observe you as well.
Correct, because I kind of wear many hats.
Yeah.
So I'm the TIG teacher, which I teach the English language classes, and I'm also a teacher leader. So we get a substitute to cover my class while I walk through with the teacher in training, and then Ms. Poppin is also a leader. Will walk the teachers to my class to observe me.
All right, so when they're observing you, is to see the best practices that you're utilizing?
Correct.
All right,
correct.
thank you.
Or
All right.
That's right.
All right, I want to
Well,
do
I
a
do
site
this
visit.
4 times a day, so they better be great.
And one thing Patty didn't mention, and she and a few teachers here were trained last year. So they are sort of the veteran teachers with systematic ELD helping the new cohort. So I'm going to share some preliminary results, which are very exciting. You've been hearing a lot about systematic ELD. We've been investing a lot of resources, so we want to see how is it working? Are we getting results? So we had to pull just a few schools, a few grade levels, because we were trying to compare, look at schools where at a particular grade level, all the ELD teachers were using systematic ELD. At some schools and some grade levels, some teachers were using SIS, some teachers were still using Language Central, and as we're sort of rolling out this pilot, we wanted to be able to really look at systematic ELD. So what we did is we followed certain groups of kids. So I looked at 2nd and 3rd graders from 15, 16, their Celt scores, and there you see. And then we followed those same groups of students after having a year of systematic ELD and how they did the following year on the Celt. And there you go, right? Really encouraging results for at JFK. And then at Susan B, we have one of the teachers here. We followed that 3rd grade class into 4th grade. And again, those 3rd graders that had in ELD had a full year of systematic ELD and the results that we see. And the last school that we were able to pull results was Woodrow. And look at that. So the green represents students making 1 year of growth, or 1 year, 1 proficiency level growth. The yellow is they've stayed the same. And of course the red is alarming, but in this case going down. And finally, one of our most important pieces is of course parent involvement. We have our DLAC meetings, and these results that I've just shared with you, we've also shared at the DLAC meetings, and we've shared the teacher walkthroughs and some of these videos to also inform parents as to the curriculum their students are receiving with systematic ELD. Thank you. So, questions?
I don't have any.
I don't have questions. I just want to say that's amazing work. I love seeing the improvement from one grade level to the next. And as someone who speaks 2 languages, I think it's amazing because it's also a code switch for the kids and learning how to, because I know I struggle with that too. And so it's amazing to see that increase. So thank you. Thank you all for your hard work.
Encouraging. Thank you.
I also want to thank you for the presentation. I'm very proud of what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you to the teachers, thank you to the direct coaching support, and quite honestly, a solid curriculum. So,
Sounds great.
it's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So item B, counseling and social emotional learning program update. Stephanie Martinez.
She's going to come in a minute. She has a special entrance.
I like it. Thanks. the audio to work.
I brought copies for the audience if you wanna. Anybody? Sure. You got it. Yeah. Oh, I thought I had 5.
It's okay.
Oh no, the one-sided. Shaquille, do you have more?
Yeah.
Is this duplicate of what?
You're supposed to get the one with just the one page. I made 5 copies of that.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
This the bigger one?
Yeah.
I like the big one.
Oh, you passed it. You passed it along, Brent.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, here you go, Paul.
Same thing. This one's
It's
bigger.
okay. We can watch the slides.
The writing's
All right,
bigger.
so I have record of the longest passing out of papers tonight.
This is kind of small to look at.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here. Oh, this. I'm Stephanie Martinez. I'm charge of student services, and this is, I think, my third year in this role. So my presentation should be a build upon the past 2 years. I just wanted to kind of highlight something that we did as an administrative team earlier this year, was looking at the mission and focusing on one part of it that really stood out to us that we wanted to embody and have at the forefront of our work. And so I don't know if you could guess it, but mine was safe and nurturing environment. Of course, I feel like that's the foundation to foster learning and to allow kids to be themselves and to focus on what they want and to reach their highest potential. So with that, a part of my work is coordinating our district-wide training and implementation of a system that addresses behavior. It's a framework that we're working upon that's called PBIS, known as Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports. Some sites call it, or districts call it PBS, some say school-wide PBIS, but basically it's allowing schools to prioritize a positive school climate and culture, and working with staff and working with families and working with students and trying to achieve that. So this has been a big part of my work. This year was amazing. We had all 14 of our school sites participating, even our preschool general Pershing participated. So really trying to get these systems in place and focusing on positive school climate from the first time that they, enter our buildings. And yeah, so that was really exciting. So each team sends about 4 to 5 staff. It varies. Teachers are on the teams. Usually the school counselor and the site administrator participates. There was 5 trainings this year, which was really exciting because to get everybody in the same room, working on the same thing, sharing resources, and talking about this was, for me, a win, a big win. PBIS helps us really look at the things that we have and the resources we have and organize them in a tiered way so that we're being strategic about the services that we're providing and we are building upon services for students. So tier 1 is for all, tier 2 is tier 1 plus tier 2, and then 3 is all 3 tiers. So students are really not getting anything pulled away, they're getting more of. And not of the same thing, but more of different things. So some of these things are provided directly from student service support personnel, which would be a school counselor, our school psychologist, our academic deans, a vice principal, or a nurse. They're all a part of my student services department. I have Sandy back there. Which has really been great to add the nurses to our department because we really work around health, and it's important to have all the most important people in the room working together and talking about students. So this has been a really great, type of way of thinking about our services and organizing them. Some of the work that I've been able to do to lead PBIS and to help us stay current with best practices is to participate on not only in-house committees and teams, but community collaboratives and teams in the county. It's been really great for me to meet and network and pull resources from other schools that are doing things really well, and curriculum that's working for health education, social emotional learning. So this has been really positive for me to participate in all of these different collaboratives and groups, and making sure that we're staying up to par with all the things that are happening in our in our community too. I wanted to do also a quick brief overview along with working with students around behavior. Counselors and many of our staff and administrators know that the other side of students, it's not just one side, it's they're holistic beings. So we have to think about everything. And so this model is the counseling model that we're building upon that really allows us to hone in on mindsets and behaviors around both academic, career, and social, emotional, and behavioral skills. And so it really allows us to look at what skills are missing so that we could focus on that and work on the students and have common language. And so I wanted to just highlight that the work that we're doing is around these standards and has really helped us have common goals with students as well. And then a quick recap. Last year, some of the trends that we saw in TK to 5th grade services in our department were group counseling, individual, conflict resolution, parent phone contact. So if you see the 2015-16, those were the most common reasons why students were being met with and checked in with. And then looking at 2016-17, it's pretty consistent. But I do like that 6th to 8th grade, the parent conference and meeting has increased. And so that's been added as another touch point to families, which, for me is so important for schools to connect with families about, their child's progress and just checking in on how they're doing. And these are, positive interactions. These are not negative or punitive. Even if it isn't about a good decision, there's always a conversation about how to make things right and how to make things better. And I really, attribute that to my department and their positive, they're just a really positive, stellar group that I couldn't be more proud of, and they're doing all the work for me, and I really appreciate them. So that's all them. And the total sessions from current date, it's a lot of meetings with students and a lot of conversations to let parents or students know that they care about them. And with that said, one of our highlight projects, I know I went through my stuff quickly, but one of my colleagues is going to join me in a second. We worked on a project together this year. If I could get Tony to come up. In talking about our tiered, level of support in Tier 1, we decided to do something together because we saw some commonalities, which we'll get into, but it's provided for all students, and let's talk about it.
Yeah. So this really came out of a collaboration that Stephanie and I were having, where she was noticing an increase in cyberbullying and students having issues with dilemmas online, both outside of school and inside of school, and these were issues that the technology integration specialists were also facing. And so we decided to pull our teams together and have it be a collaborative effort to really educate all of our students so we can hopefully be more proactive and hopefully alleviate some of the reactive incidents that Stephanie's team has to deal with practically on a daily basis, particularly at our middle schools. And so that was really the start of all of this, is to pool our resources together. So we started by looking at our mission, and our goal was really to prepare all of our students to be responsible citizens, both online and offline. And so our goal for the year was to develop a comprehensive K-8 digital citizenship scope and sequence, which you'll see in a minute. And then between our two teams, we were able to deliver it to each and every student in the district. And again, we decided to align our efforts rather than focusing on just what the counseling services were going to provide and what technology services were going to provide, because we saw so much overlap that we made this a joint effort. We also do have a legal requirement, which we had been meeting in the past, but our goal was to really just go beyond what the law says. And basically the SIPA requirements say if you receive federal funding for the internet, which we do, you need to have filters in place in order to protect the students. And they said, and it's beneficial if you also have an education program to support responsible use with students. And so we really took that as our charge to educate all of our students on being aware of how to be safe online.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
No, I can go. Team collaboration. So this was our first step. Like Tony said, we saw an opportunity to really enhance what was already happening and to align resources. Since both of our departments were working in this area with teachers, it just made sense to share that responsibility so that we could reach more teachers and do it in a timely fashion. And so yeah, we felt like the collaboration was a great fit for us.
Mm-hmm. So a resource we used is Common Sense Media, and they have a fantastic website, which we have a link to later in the slides. And we chose this resource for several reasons. One is that it meets the requirements for SIPA compliance, so we didn't have to worry about any kind of realignment. It also is aligned to the Common Core state standards, so we had that. And then the exciting part for both of our teams is it provided a blended learning opportunity. So there were paper pencil examples, there's lots of media-rich videos that are embedded in the lessons, but we were also able to purchase a program called Nearpod, which allows for interactivity, and the counselors and the tech integration specialists really liked that, particularly in the upper grades, because it gave students an opportunity to express concerns they were having, and these were coming from students who may not be the kids who would raise their hand and express those concerns, but they were able to use that technology to get the students talking and thinking about that. So that was another reason why we chose this curriculum.
And it integrated their use of technology, so practicing, use with that in the classroom helps a student carry that on outside of the classroom. Oops. So after we met with during our meeting with our teams, we sat down and looked at a kind of the criteria and various lessons for each grade level that met this requirement and that spoke to what we were trying to teach in grade appropriate. So the department chose these lessons. So we included the titles, the description, and then we also had them choose an optional follow-up to encourage the use of technology and Nearpod lessons or the Common Sense Media lessons with the teacher afterwards, so that it wasn't just like one time. So that was K-2, and then 3rd through 5th grade, again, really going through things that are relevant and things that the trends that the counselors were seeing in each of the grade levels. So that was really great to have their insight in the room. And then 6th to 8th. And this is actually our updated scope and sequence. So there was a few lessons that kind of didn't work last year. So this is the one that a couple of them have changed for next year that the team decided would work better for them.
So some of our next steps for next year, we obviously want to continue this work. But one of the things we really want to focus on, did we skip a slide? I think we did.
Yeah,
we did.
We did.
Sorry. I feel like there was another slide. So we feel like this is a really great start, but we also know that just like all positive behaviors, it's not going to be accomplished in one lesson or 2 lessons. It's definitely something that needs to be ongoing and encouraged, every time technology is used or whenever issues come up. So we really want to start building capacity this year, so we were able to have trainings with all of our principals during Institute Days to really make them aware of different strategies they can be using to support their teachers and really thinking about how to embed technology as the lessons are being taught as a reinforcement to what the counselors and tech integration specialists were doing. As I mentioned last time I was here, we had a very comprehensive professional development program for all of our middle school teachers for school to home, and we made that one of our modules just devoted to this topic, just so that the middle school teachers would really start to take that ownership and have that awareness of how they can be supporting this as they are teaching daily, and then just continuing the training that we have with our departments as well. Mm-hmm. And then some of the next steps we want to look to next year is Common Sense as an organization have opportunities for teachers to become certified teachers where they go through a certification process. We can have schools become digitally certified schools, and then that could roll up into us being actually certified as a district. So those are some of the things we'll look forward to next year.
And that's it. Questions?
So the slide that you had on the ASCA mindsets and behaviors, I really like that information. Can you put that back
Yeah.
here? I was wondering if there's a website we can go to so we can explore that more, because I think this is something that would benefit the teachers and actually the students as well. They should see the standards that they're supposed to be
Well,
learning.
the goal is that the counselors are choosing these alongside the students. So the students
great.
self-assess how they feel in these areas, and then the counselor is working with teachers to see where they see the student is and collecting that data and looking at it and then picking one goal and that one skill that they can really hone in on. Because as you know, it's not, with little ones and middle school aged youth, it's really hard to have like 5 goals. They just need one. And it's positive. But yeah, this is, if you look up, it's American School Counselors Association. And we're going to be continuing to do professional development around this, for years to come, because I want to make sure that we're building comprehensive programs in all of our schools. And that's our ultimate goal. And we are definitely moving towards that.
All right, thanks.
Question about when you speak to reinforcement, how are the parents and or families included in this? Is there a plan to include them?
Yeah, so parents are included, usually with the primary grade early on. Those are conversations that are happening more likely with the parents, because the younger, students aren't always like, we really have to modify this for them. So a lot of the information comes from the teachers and the parents. I would say in the secondary level, the parents are included after, goals are chosen, so that they are aware and understand that the counselor is meeting with their child, or the academic dean is meeting with their child and, working on particular goals and specific goals.
And are they receiving any of this information?
We don't usually give this. It's more of like a professional document. But if you are suggesting that parents would like to see something like this.
I mean, me as a parent, I know that it would be a great tool. I mean, I don't know if there's a modified version.
Yeah.
But I think it's wonderful for parents who sometimes just feel helpless.
Yeah.
If there's some sort of guide, because I think that sense of reinforcement, what you're asking the kids to be, the expectation of the kids in the classroom, and then you have that sense of reinforcement at home, that consistent messaging, I think is key. I think it's key, because I always look at it where kids do things only at school and then they go home, and then like they'll eat healthy here and they go home and they're eating junk, you know what I mean? But if we create that level of consistency, I know as a parent, and especially a parent of a special needs child, I need all the help that I could get and any guidance. I would like to suggest if there's some sort of a cheat sheet or something, maybe a modified version that parents could have as a tool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. This is wonderful. I love how it's the integration of it, especially the grade levels, and how it's very specific and specialized for the grade levels. Thank you for all this work. I love how you guys are working together on this.
We love it too.
I love it. I feel your energy. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to thank Ms. Martinez, Ms. Baroni for the presentation. I've also actually been to several of these kind of parent nights about digital citizenship. So it's actually kind of nice to see like the different sequencing, having actually gone and like heard the presentations at several schools and kind of played with Common Sense Media, and I think NetSmart, is that another one of them too? Just kind of getting a hands-on feel about what you actually show parents and families. So I want to thank you for that as well too. I actually had a question in terms of, are those presentations made at all the schools, or I guess how is that incorporated into kind of informing parents about that?
We had a variation of presentations. Some were tech-specific And also some were social emotional learning, kind of positive behavior specific. We really leave it up to the sites, and then they connect with us as, resources to help coordinate. Some of the parent nights are contracted through my department from outside folks that are experts in the field to come in and help, and do the presentation. So it just varies. We try to allow some flexibility because we really want the parent nights to be relevant to their community too. But yeah, it varied this year, and it'll continue next year.
Yeah, but I just want to say those presentations are great, so I want to just keep going.
Well, I want to thank you because in the beginning you said how great everybody's working with you, but I can see why. So it is your leadership as well.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody that's working hard on this. It is going to help our students. And there's, I didn't get to read it, but there was an article that I had at home. Sorry to read it, but they were saying how one of our school districts, I think it's down south someplace, how they brought up the level of the behavior of the children by something that sounds to me like this.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but it's something like this.
Yeah.
And so after I get it and read it, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you.
But it really is important that our students believe in our counselors and our teachers.
Mm-hmm.
It helps them to guide them on best behavior. So this looks like we're on that right track. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and much appreciation to the sites and the staff, and teachers and all the staff and administrators, being on board with the things that we're doing and working with us on everything that we propose. I mean, they're really doing the hardest part of the work. So, this all goes to them. Thank you.
Keep up the leadership.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we can go on to start item. We got start items and everything here. F.
Food service.
Food service update.
Thank you. I'm Martha O'Rourke, the district manager for Sodexo. I cover this area. I've met you, I think, a couple times now, and I'm thrilled to be here. I want to thank the board for allowing us to do a quick presentation, 15 minutes. Thank Julie for all of her support and everything we do, and also to Anita. And we have a new gentleman here. His name is Carl Winoza. He's working with Sodexo, so he's in training. So this is one of his first stomping grounds. He just graduated from San Jose State in December, right? You just finished up in December, so.
That's great.
He just started with us, so his career is just starting. So, and Caitlin, you all know, is your daily person. So we're just going to kind of tag team this and then give you plenty of time for questions.
Good evening. I'm Caitlin, as mentioned. I work with the district as the Sodexo consultant. So tonight we're going to give an update on our.
I'll push.
Okay.
Okay. To the right. That'd be the forward.
On our program. So first we're talking about our eligibility and participation. Next, what's in our food, our meal ingredients, what's new in technology, special events, and what's coming soon. So first we'll talk about the eligibility. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a sad story on this front. As you can see, after the school year 14-15, there was a big drop in free approved free students, and that is unfortunately a continued trend across the state and the country. It has a lot to do with the economy, as our wages are going up and minimum wages are going up. A lot of our families aren't qualified for these benefits anymore.
We need people to livable wages, which we would all say are probably not livable. USDA uses the guidelines for their national, so the same income level as in Tennessee is in California, which is very sad because a family of four is actually making the new minimum wage of $13 an hour, whatever, would not qualify for free or reduced lunches. So it's not, you're not the only district all through, especially through Santa Clara County, San Mateo, San Francisco, this whole strip is losing it. And unfortunately, a lot of them are moving because they just can't afford to live here. So you can see it in your numbers.
Here, actually. So you can see this trend in this graph here. So you can see the free is moving to paid pretty symmetrically, actually. So for every free student that comes off the program, we lose funding, not only in the food service program, but in LCAP funding. So if you look at what we lost from last year to this year, it's 350 students. And we get about $3,000 in LCAP funding per student. So multiply that out, that's over $1 million in funding. That's
For the general fund.
That's not
Food
food
service
service.
just loses the free and reduced reimbursement, but not just, that is some money, but it's a lot for the general fund. It's a difficult dilemma to be in.
And then also, when a free person eats versus a paid student, we lose
About
25 cents.
Your
per
pricing,
meal
you have a
too.
differential in pricing between what your paid lunch prices are today compared to what your free is. And that's about 25, every time a child moves from the free category that the federal government gives to the paid category, you lose 25 cents in revenue, just like that, just because the differential in pricing.
Question that I had.
But the question is you don't want to raise the price because a lot of people are barely making it in order to move, that just got disqualified from the free lunch program. Can they really afford to spend close to $3 for a meal for a family of 2 or 3 kids? So, and there's the guidelines. You can see it. These are national, is what we follow. $44,000 a year for reduced lunch for a family of 4.
Yeah, we highlighted the family of 4, and as she mentioned, even if 2 people in the household are working, they have to make way below the minimum wage in order to qualify for reduced lunches. They have to make $10.80. We calculated for this example if both parents or 2 people in the household are working. Yeah, so these guidelines are for the whole country. We're especially affected in California because we have the highest cost of living. But Tennessee, Arkansas, with any state with a low cost of living, it's very different for us. Different story in California. All right, so this is a graph of who's participating. So of all the students that are qualified in each category in the free, reduced, paid, this is how many are participating. So free is over the years, the last 3 years we have graphed here, it's holding steady pretty much in each category. But because we are losing our free and reduced students, we're losing a lot of meals in total because obviously the free and reduced eat at a higher rate because they have a free or reduced meal, they're more likely to eat. So in total, we're losing meals.
Where your paid kids they're selective. They have to be because on a budget and things, especially as the cost of living is going up. So, and these are pretty standard trends we see across. I work with a lot of districts in Santa Clara County, San Mateo County, and in San Francisco. And this is pretty standard, the trend. So.
All right, so that was the eligibility and participation, and now we're moving on to what's in our food. So all of our meals follow national nutritional guidelines for grains. We have to serve 1 to 2 servings of grains, meat or meat alternatives, and those are things like yogurt or cheese or seeds, beans, something that qualifies for a protein. Fruit, vegetables in different categories such as red, orange, beans, starchy, dark green, and milk daily. All of our entrees, we're trying to serve the most popular items to keep the kids' interest and also while upholding the nutritional standards because food is only nutritious if it's eaten. So we want to make sure that the students are happy and we're also, meeting the guidelines. So we serve 2 options, 2 entrees per day. One is a vegetarian option and one is an option with meat. And we try to strive for one of those options being non-dairy to accommodate the lactose intolerant students. We also do not serve any pork or peanut items, and we accommodate for special diets, such as, right now, we're accommodating egg, soy, and milk allergies. And then a little bit about our ingredients. I wanted to point out that all of these things are kind of above and beyond the nutritional guidelines. This is just something we've taken upon ourselves to be better, I guess. All but the whole grain. Everyone has to be whole grain right now.
Which you might be asking, that
We'll
just a
talk about-
lot's changed. And we can talk
about
real
that.
quickly about that and what's happening with the whole grain requirement.
So everyone has to be whole grain right now. We also serve only, all of our ground beef is 100% ground beef, no fillers, nitrates. All of our hot dogs and lunch meats are natural turkey, no fillers, nitrates, hormones. Our sliced and shredded cheese is all natural cheddar. All of our cereals have 6 grams of sugar or less, and we also have 2 organic cereals from Back to the Roots, which is a local Oakland company. All of our milk is hormone-free. Our yogurt is gelatin-free. We just changed that over this past year because most popular yogurt is made with an animal product. So we're true vegetarian on our yogurt. We're also maximizing our local produce. We're up to 51% local, and that's defined as 250 miles in this case. Technology. This next year, we're starting a new program called Rocket Scan, and this is going to help us a lot in the beginning of the year when we have thousands of applications coming into our office for people applying for the free and reduced lunch because they have to apply every year, so we get flooded in the beginning of the year. So this program is going to help us just scan the documents in. We don't have to do a lot of data entry. So this will save us a lot of time, and the students will get their benefits a lot faster. We also have a new app called So Happy. You can download it for free in the App Store. It's just kind of a quick reference for anyone to see what's on the menu today. Just pull it up and you can see everything that's on the menu, breakfast and lunch. If you're a parent or a student, you can select your school and see what's on the menu, and you can see how many carbs are in there, how many calories, and it also flags allergies if you're looking for that. We also did a breakfast survey near the beginning of the year. Some of the results were that people wanted more variety in the meals and more vegetarian options, so we increased our entrees to 2 per day along with our cereal options. So we have 2 entrees, and then we tried more vegetarian options also. And next, in the next year, we're starting Primero Edge, which is a web-based menu planning and production records system. So normally we print out hundreds of pages of production records every month for all the schools, and they write by hand all the information about how much food they served and what was wasted and that. So this will be just on a website where they can enter any leftovers, and then we can easily make changes to the menu if we need to, and get real-time reports on how much was wasted. And
It's also really nice when you're trying a new item and someone says everybody wanted it or everybody didn't like it. You have real data.
you don't have to call,
versus-
did they like the new
Yeah,
thing?
yeah, and it's good to have data that's, instead of just everybody likes it or everybody didn't or whatever. So we can actually get real numbers and really quickly. The other good advantage in food services, we can make changes based on that information much quicker than hand adding up the school site's information, so. We're excited.
All right, next, we did some special events. In January, we did the Countdown to Kindergarten event where I helped parents navigate the school lunch application and directed them that they have to fill this out for the next school year, and showed them our menu and how the school lunch program works. We also did the Future Chefs event in March. I have some pictures on the next slide. I also did the Literacy and Health Fair in April, where I sampled some chicken meatballs and some local wild rice that we were testing out to see if you want to put on the menu. Here's the Future Chefs, they're so cute. So this is the second year we did the Future Chefs competition. It's always a fun event. I know a couple of you were there, a few of you were there. Yeah, it's a very fun event. We had a lot more recipes this year than last year, so it's getting a little bit more traction. People are hearing about it. And actually our winner, Andrew Wolf, there, second grader from Garden Village, he won our event, and he moved on to the regional competition, and he was actually selected one of the 40 recipes selected over from 256 recipes to win an iPad. So, yeah. And then eventually, the winner of those were then narrowed down to 5, and then they make a video, and then there's a grand prize winner. But we were excited that he made it to the next round on that.
What was his recipe?
He had turkey or egg bake all the turkey. Is this one? It's like a little like turkey, yeah, turkey lined egg bake thing. Yeah, what is that?
Like a muffin cup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. This is with some spinach and yeah, easy and delicious. Right. So, what is coming soon? We're replacing a bunch of our equipment. Gotten a bunch of grants from the Dairy Council. We've replaced 6 milk coolers. We received a big grant, $99,000 for the equipment assistant grant. Good job, Anita. For a new production machine. We're also in the process of purchasing 2 new holding warmers, new freezers, and we've also purchased 2 new food service trucks this year. We just had our menu advisory meeting today, which went well. That's where the public can come and comment on the menu. We had 1 participant, but she was very good. She was a parent and an employee, so she had kind of feedback from both sides of the line, so that was nice. We're also trying to pilot a grab and a grab and go breakfast program. Second Harvest donated some mobile carts, and this is so we can move kind of our breakfast from the kitchen to where the kids are. So as they're coming in, they can see the breakfast line and just kind of grab something and go, and so we can increase our breakfast participation because it's pretty low for breakfast across the district.
And Second Harvest has an initiative. Their whole plan now is to really get into the communities, into programs, so that it increases versus, they still do individual people, but they want to be more collaborative with groups. It helps their numbers a lot. So their focus is breakfast and supper and after-school programs.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And that was it. So not too bad over.
No.
Any questions?
Do you have any questions?
I have a couple questions. My first question, I'm not sure if you guys can answer or if the district is. In the first couple slides, you guys mentioned there was a decline in free and reduced lunches. I know that the state's minimum wage is going to increase every year for the next couple years. Will that exacerbate the situation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Which will also, probably the bigger problem is the LCAP funding model, because of it will, because you're defining it as you're making it a livable wage. Well, their livable wage is much different on the free and reduced application. Now, I don't think there's any talk of ever trying to have some sort of parity in the state of California. I just don't think they'll ever do that, and under USDA, and we follow under national standards, so.
Okay, thanks. And then my other question was, I think a couple slides later, you mentioned the nutrition items in all the food. I know that the current president kind of signed an executive order to change that, to kind of rescind back a lot of what was happened during the last administration. So I was wondering, does that affect any of this or
Well,
not?
you know what, actually, it's kind of it was, I don't know, it's more of a smoke and mirrors, because the whole grain one has been an exemption that's been in place for 3 years. All it does is continue that exemption. They are required to reauthorize, and with that, they have to, some of these exemptions they had put in place. So the whole grain, this we just got on Tuesday from CDE, so it's like written in chicken scratch for me. The flexibility in school meals, whole grain is really easy. They are going to continue the exemption. The problem with the exemption, we don't have it here today. You have to prove hardship, and you have to prove it's really killing your counts. Now, hardships are based on demonstrate hardship between procurement, can't find whole grain products. California's, that's kind of iffy if we could really tell them that. Financial significant drop in counts, and then poor student acceptability. One thing I do think, this mother that was at the advisory meeting had some very valid points about white rice versus brown rice. And I don't know, this just came out on the 9th, and how what CDE, you just fill out a form, because you do see a big drop in kids really don't accept the rice items anymore in this district. And because they're just not, brown rice is not what they're used to. So I don't know, we have to see. It doesn't look like it'll be a big deal. You could fill out a form. The sodium targets, all they're doing basically is leaving them where they were for another year, is what was just approved. They were already at that target. The one that I find interesting that is very new, I didn't even read about it, was the 1% chocolate milk. You're currently required, all flavored milk has to be non-fat. If I had a crystal ball from a nutrition perspective, is what is the new buzz now is sugar. And fat is kind of now not the bad thing. So many, many years ago, fat was really bad. So you drove a lot of fat out of products, but the only way you could make them acceptable is you put more sugar in. Because it wouldn't taste, you had to have some sort of flavor. Yep. So you either did salt or you do sugar to do that. My hunch is, when we couldn't find it today, to find out what the difference between sugar is on a 1% chocolate versus a non-fat. But my hunch is it's less sugar, because you're putting more flavor in with fat. Mm-hmm. And I bet you, because there's a lot of talk out there of really redoing the USDA standards with sugar in mind. And I think it's very, very valid. That's the big talk nowadays. So I think that's coming from the Institute of Medicine. So I think that's where that's from.
So if the administration kind of proposes some new regulations, kind of reduce the restrictions on like the health stuff, will Sodexo take that, or how do I guess?
I think you have to look at even the parent today. She works at a school, so she sees some of the new guidelines that came in under the Healthy Hunger Free Kids were requiring every kid to take a fruit and vegetable. That's really nice, but like she said, they can't even have time to eat all this. They're not hungry with it. It's not reasonable to say take an apple on the playground. She goes, "I'll just throw them around." Then so you can't take it with you if you're still hungry. So that required fruit and vegetable. Kids were taking it that wanted it and would eat it. Now she says they literally just put it over to the side. So that kind of was a goofy requirement in the first place, because you can't make a kid sit there and eat it. So some of those requirements I think might be changing. And that probably would benefit, just because you wouldn't waste food. I mean, if we're really looking at from like the nice recycling and all this earlier today, there's something to be said about not just throwing food away because you're required to take it. And then working with kids on making healthy choices. We try to do canned fruit and fresh fruits so that kids will eat something, and salad, and then maybe something else, because that all starts at home with what kids' profile is for fruits and vegetables.
And we've always had a big salad bar available regardless, before and after, the regulations.
But now you have to force the kids to take it. So I don't know about that. I think some of the other regulations, with us having just some of the whole grain and things like that, I think that's been very expensive for manufacturers. So my hunch is they might be pushing more on that one, just because the food's really different, all the whole grain. Including anything you sell on campus has to be whole grain rich. So it's just a different flavor profile.
Thanks.
I just had one question. Your menu advisory committee, will you be meeting again?
Yeah, we do.
We meet once a year right now, but.
So today was your annual meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, but you would meet with the parent groups, if there's like a.
Yeah, I gave her my email and she was gonna give it to.
Because she thought maybe some more parents would come and felt like they had some other issues. So if it was one school, we always meet with the parent groups there, especially if they have some ideas. They had a lot of ideas that they wanted to try some things, which is what you need in food service, because you really don't know until you try it.
The surveys are from parents, or are the children involved in
Children
those surveys?
are surveyed.
And is it just for the breakfast, or do you have the lunch survey as well?
We just did breakfast, but we have SurveyMonkey subscription, so we can.
The other thing
Are we
is
doing
like,
more?
like Friday, you're doing a tasting of fruits and vegetables, or fruits, right?
Yeah,
And they're gonna do, it's really simple, you have a smiley face garbage can, you have a neutral face, and you have a negative face. So when they do a tasting, they put the empty cup in the garbage can, so that you can look and see who liked it and who didn't, and if they'll eat it again.
And it's
That's a lot,
Melissa's-
that's some of the best surveying you can do, is right when they taste the stuff and you know, what the kids think about it. Will they buy it? Will they eat it?
It's
So
organic strawberries, so I hope they like
there should be all smiley faces, because kids love strawberries, but
How-
we try to do tastings and any new item. So you're always kind of asking those questions. I think an overall survey, we picked breakfast to really get out and ask the kids, why aren't you buying breakfast? Because even your free and reduced kids who qualify for a free breakfast, is your biggest opportunity here is to expand that program. Most of your kids who qualify for free and reduced lunches do participate, but it's the breakfast that's an opportunity to participate.
There was a report about that, and I mentioned it in the last board meeting about a couple problems with food services in general. One being breakfast, the time that they have to get there in order to eat breakfast, that needs to be addressed. And I'm even thinking about what you were saying about the students will throw the food away. I'm actually in classrooms, and students will eat the food after lunch, because I bring it in the classroom, especially fruit.
Yeah.
If I ask who wants an apple, who wants an orange, the hands go up. So I think we need to address the way that we're not forcing the students to eat the food, but encouraging them to eat the food, and then
And how can
setting
they
up.
take it? That's what this
Yeah, we're
lady
talking
we
about
were exploring
logistics.
today, is the logistics of where do you put your apple while you're playing? You have a couple schools that play first, then they could just take it with them, because you are allowed to take that, if the school allows you to take the stuff
if
to
it's
the classroom.
non-perishable.
Yeah, if it's non-perishable, you can take it with you, because people were complaining the portions were just too much for little kids, so, because and breakfast, you know, we're very successful, with breakfast, we call it second chance breakfast, and it's done at the first recess.
Yeah, that's good.
We do it in most of the schools, have gotten rid of the before school, because they just don't get here.
Right.
You can
Just
try
has
everything
to,
you want, they just
yeah.
don't get here.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that-
thing is, it has to be 2 hours in between the breakfast and lunch, so, I've looked at the schedules, and a lot of them don't really work with that, but if we maybe worked with the principals on making a little bit bigger gap, or,
Yeah, because they're hungry, you know, you wake up and a lot of times kids and adults are not hungry the second they get up. It's literally an hour
That's true.
into it, then you want to
10:30.
eat. So if you, the recess piece, which is a scheduling thing, but
Right.
it's really good because it's right out there, it's a grab and go, it gets them going.
While we have some of the student services people here, I think this is a good opportunity to collaborate with the safety and, safe and nurturing environments. The food should be included in those conversations.
Great idea.
And then also the last thing is just to be aware of food shaming. Like, so to get specific, if a student has moved out of that free or even reduced category and now they have to pay, but they don't have the money to pay for the food, what happens?
What is your charge bill?
yeah, we have, right now it's -550 they can go up to without, any questions, or they get a form that, it's kind of basically like an IOU form to give to their parents. Some of them give them directly to the teachers.
Right.
So after that 550, we're starting Monday with a little bit different process than we've been doing. We have an alternate meal that we're gonna give after that 550.
All right.
Well, and that might not be in effect as of there's new legislation in California, and I think you might be referring to it, because that's what they're calling it, is food shaming. And it's to prevent shaming people on food, but it would be on the responsibility of either the general fund or the parent organizations, that you would have to give every child a meal all the way through 12th grade, so it includes your middle schools. There would be no, and then they essentially are charging, but because you can't use federal funds for that, and California knows that, You could not use federal funds to subsidize that, which is your child nutrition program. You would have to use other funds that are unrestricted, which would be general fund or something. But you will not be able to shame the kids now. But they did say because they're going to mandate it, you might be able to use mandated funds, which would actually, if there's mandated funds there. But it's actually on the table right now. NPR just did a story on that.
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay, that's
so. I encourage everyone to.
I don't know how you got the shame thing in there. Yeah, and it was kind of
yeah.
interesting because you couldn't even
Was.
do an alternate meal in this new legislation, and it looks like it's going to go right through.
Well, part of it is other countries address this situation differently. For instance, India, they all get a free meal. There's no requirement, for income or anything, and then it's a actually good meal too, and I think it's all vegetarian. Anyhow, but I know that you're doing a great job, and we appreciate it. I see it, I hope and I'm sure that we're not shaming our students when they can't afford the food. So I'm glad that you actually have that negative account. And then the alternative.
A little bit, and then we're like, okay.
And that's all. It depends on district policy. It's really the district's policies on however they want to handle that.
So I too would like to support what Trustee Ali has shared. And my concern though too, I love that there's an alternative meal, but still that child is identified.
Yeah, and that won't be
Receiving
allowed
that
in the new
identified
legislation. It would be the identical meal.
It's still going to be like he gets a special meal. I mean, kids are brutal.
They are.
You know. And I think the other thing is I would like to also echo support for revisiting the schedule. Because as you all well know, these are the only meals some of our kids get, maybe majority of our kids.
Absolutely.
And if we could be strategic and creative in how we offer the meals and even figuring out how they're able to grab and go and take those fruits. Because we had this conversation before with the group at our last meeting. We need to help and support our students in creating healthy habits.
Yep.
And obesity is on the rise, and which leads to dental issues. And I would love to see everybody that can touch this and do something to do that, because it needs to be figured out.
I agree.
Yeah, we're tasked with that. Thank you, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, under certificated personnel, it looks like you're all starred out. Classified, A, retirement for classified personnel.
You want me to just?
I didn't miss anything.
Nope.
That's you.
12A.
12A is the next one, yes.
Unless Mr. Valenti's saying something, you want me to just make the motion, or?
I'd be happy just to say a little something about both of these. And I've worked with both Sue Morton and Diane Cordini when I was a teacher at John F. Kennedy. Sue was our clerk typist at Kennedy. Diane was our librarian at that time, and she still actually has in the library at John F. Kennedy the bookshelf that I built for my classroom that when I left to go to Paulicita. So when she had called me and let me know that she was retiring, I was very happy to hear it, but it's something we have a history with both of them. So I just want to wish them both well.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the retirement request from Diana Cordini, Library Tech, Library Tech from JFK, effective 6/10/17, and Susan Morton, Office Assistant at SBA, effective 6/10/17 as well.
Second.
And are we giving resolution?
I don't see anything.
Generally, it's just a voice vote for this one, because we don't have the resolution here, so it'll be prepared.
No, but you say it in our motion, that an appropriate resolution be prepared.
All right, and that appropriate resolutions are prepared commending them for their years of service with the district.
I'll second that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It
I actually
passed.
didn't see that.
Okay, the next item is going to be 13, board policies. Here tonight as the second reading. Does anybody have any additions to what we did last time?
Yeah, we made those changes that Dr. Douglas pointed out at the last meeting, identifying the actual dates and also removing that one word.
Okay, sounds good. So can we have a motion on this thing?
I'll make the motion to approve the second reading for BPAR 3515 on campus security.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passed. Now reports from board members on professional development. So who's gonna go first? Are you? Ladies first?
Yes, whoever goes first, the second one just says, I learned the same things.
Yeah.
That doesn't work here.
It was the same sessions you went to.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think I shared from the last Masters in Governance courses I've been able to participate in. For me, some have been refreshers, but for me, that's a positive note because there were pieces that I had learned, especially during policy and judicial review, that I actually realized that I forgot, and shame on me. But it was great to get the refresher, and I love how they condensed a lot of it because when we're reading through things, we get a bunch of stuff to look through and learn. But the condensed version and effective teaching that they have at MIG has been great for me. The last one that I had, we had recently was the human resources, and that one was very engaging throughout the state. A lot of people were talking about different things. I think I felt very fortunate because people were going through some serious issues, human resource issues that I have not experienced or witnessed here. So for me, it was nice to know that our district was not experiencing a lot of the negative things that I heard from 5 different districts across the state. But other than that, I look forward to going, next Saturday will be my last, yay! So, yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity.
So I did, I think, the same ones, except I did the policy and judicial review one. So for that one, it was kind of an overview of how to create policy on the school board level, as well as kind of analyzing how best to deliberate those kind of policy issues. I think one of the good things I pulled out of it was there was a section about what is a purpose of a policy that we create, and there was like several items that they noted as important, especially when creating policy. Supporting student learning, supporting unity of the purpose of the board, setting the framework for board leadership and accountability, and ensuring stability of district operations. So those are some of those 4 main things in terms of creating policy, and I thought that was something that I got out of it that was good to remember. And then student achievement and learning, the LCAP, so they kind of talked a lot about different parts of kind of engaging communities in the LCAP process, as well as certain parts of student engagement, student achievement that are essential. And then they kind of gave an overview of the LCAP dashboard, which we had, I think, at the last meeting or so about that as well, too. And then the last stuff was about human resources and collective bargaining. And in terms of HR, they mentioned a couple, our important job is to hire our superintendent, and kind of laid out what we should always be considering in making sure that we have a good superintendent. We have a great one right now, so there's no need to explain all that extra stuff, but
You won't need to use that for quite a while, I hope.
But they kind of gave a nice overview of if you are hiring a new superintendent, what you want to do.
Just put it in a file.
What you want to do to make sure you have a good one. So they had a couple people at the workshop who actually try to hire a new superintendent, and one of them was actually in the middle of hiring one. So for them, that was actually pretty important, and kind of hiring good staff to support the superintendent as well too.
Did that person ask a lot of questions?
They did. I think one of them was actually as a school member for maybe like 2 months.
Oh, gosh.
And the first job was to hire a superintendent.
That is hard.
Yeah.
I did not reflect on that one, Superintendent Vidales says this because I was glad to say I didn't have to, but it was very engaging to hear. That's where I heard the problems.
Yeah.
From the 5 districts.
Like you learn a lot from other school districts, how they have a lot of problems, and I'm glad to know that we don't have as many problems at all, especially in terms of like one of them was a policy one where one school district had to bring it up because they were installing an LED sign, and they created an entire new school district policy in terms of how bright it could be, when it could be on, and like so there's all that. So yeah, so that's one thing I.
Well, one district had gone through 5 superintendents in 3 years. So it was very interesting. But
In
it made
those
me very
situations, chances are the problems are not with the superintendent.
Yeah.
But oftentimes the boards can churn them out, because that's where I'm grateful. I have a board that knows how to support a superintendent.
It's nice to know, as long as I've been here, this is probably the best working situation we've had.
That's good.
Because we had our problems years ago. Maybe we've gone through them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank goodness. But anyway, thank you for sharing, you guys. Okay. So now we're going to go to board members' comments, report, and reflection on the board meeting guidelines, which we said we would think about how often we need to do this.
Mhm.
So we're kind of repeating ourselves, since it's everything's okay. Okay, who wants to be first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I feel like we had a good meeting tonight. We heard a lot of good information, and I really appreciated the energy of the young students that came tonight. And I focused on we will communicate openly, honestly, and respectfully, ensuring that there are no hidden agendas. And that's why I spoke about the food shaming. Yeah. And I, like I said, I know we're not, or I hope we're not doing that. And I just wanted to mention too that there's there's several original Netflix series that a lot of teenagers are watching, but one is called 13 Reasons Why. And I suggest that you all check it out and at least see what's going on in there. Students that I'm working with kept telling me that I needed to see it, and I started watching it with them. But after I got to a certain episode, I realized I wasn't going to be able to keep showing it to them without their parents' permission, even though most of them have already watched all the episodes. But I just suggest that you all look up that series. It's called 13 Reasons Why, and it's about bullying and suicide at a school. But it's definitely good information in it, but our students might need a little bit of support after they watch it.
Thank you. My kids actually got me watching it too.
Yeah, it's good. Huh?
It's deep, yeah. I definitely agree that if you do recommend it to students, that they need that level of support to watch it with someone who can actually process it with them.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this evening, something, I know we don't comment on things that are discussed, but I did want to make a request for Measure T, if we can get any updates on that on a future agenda item. I wanted to make that request. I too am very proud of everything that we've heard this evening and that we've heard in past meetings. It just is an affirmation for me why I sit in this seat. I love this district, and I take great pride in this district. Especially when I'm hearing from different districts who contact me for different things, mostly for the advocacy level, and it just makes me take great gratitude and take an inventory of the great educators and the team that we have here in this district. So I'm very, very thankful for the leadership here. And in closing of my remarks, I chose at the end of each meeting, we will reflect on how well we followed our meeting guidelines and addressed our goals. And I think that we continue to do that well. And lastly, I just want to say Happy Mother's Day, because whether you gave birth to a child or didn't, we are all mothers of our students here in this district. Mm-hmm. And so I thank all the mothers that have mothered me, not just gave birth to me, but I've had a lot of great women who to this day continue to hold me on their shoulders. So I'm very, very thankful, and I commend everyone that does that work. So happy Mother's Day to all.
Ms. Laigano, did you want to make that request?
I did also
Okay.
want to make the request. It's very emotional for me because I know that we had seen the reckless and unfortunate loss of a former student of our district who happened to be a former classmate of my daughter's. Rajon was wonderful. He was also part of Daly City Stars program, which was founded here and continues to practice right over at TRP. I would see this kid ride his bike all over Eastmore. His mom scolding him a lot because he was weaving through cars, you know. And to see him on the news was very upsetting, to see that someone took his life the way they did. And he was a student of ours. So I'd like to make a request that we adjourn our meeting in honor and memory of him, and prayers and blessings of comfort to his family during this very, very difficult time.
I selected, we will listen actively and openly to all ideas without interrupting or preparing responses. I thought a lot of the topics we discussed tonight, we had some conversations back and forth with everybody as well as with the presenters. So I thought that fit well. And I also wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom. She probably won't be watching this meeting, but but
Yeah, YouTube.
I don't think she. I don't think she. But Happy Mother's Day to my mom and to all moms out there too.
Happy to see you, Jessica.
Well, I can't very well reflect on the meeting since I was not here. I was in attendance at the honors night at Oceana High School this evening, which is why I came in very late, and I do want to say that it was nice to see quite a number of our former students being honored for their academics, for their community service, for being loving and caring people. So that was kind of a cool thing to see.
We did announce it. That's why you were not here, and I think everyone understood.
Right. And I also, I know I missed the time for the shout outs, but I want to give a shout out to the junior high band concert. Was that just last night? Because that was the best concert I've been to from our junior highs. They were fantastic. And so huge kudos to the kids, to the band directors, to the parents on that.
Well, I also picked at the end of each meeting, we will reflect on how well we followed our meeting guidelines and addressed our goals. But I also want to say, I think that we are definitely on board meeting all of this. And so if we feel that we are trustworthy of what we're doing and we continue, I say we keep these as our, on here, like, you call them,
Reminder.
placemats?
Placemats, yeah.
And that we remember that. And then perhaps, if at any time we become a little wayward of one of these, a cute little comment of, oh, where's your little placemat? But I think we pretty much really have honored every one of these. So unless you want to continue doing it, we could, but I just wanted to bring that
I
up.
can put that on a upcoming board agenda for board discussion and decision, because it did result as it is part of our handbook, so
Right.
we will need to take action to change it.
So, okay, anyway, so I just wanted to echo some of the things that were said this evening, and that is that we are proud of our district, and it's really great to see all the good things we're doing for our kids. And watching the children is a reflection of what they get from home, from our teachers, from everything that's happening. And the more that we can highlight our children, the more enthusiastic they become, and they're going to go up to do higher and better things. Because that's what it's really all about.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you brought up the issues and stuff about, you know, what you say, shaming.
Mhm.
Because that happens in many areas, not just the food.
Mhm.
And we need to respect and make sure that it's never happening. And the more that we encourage our students and have our counselors helping them all get on the same page, we're going to see a whole wonderful climate.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm proud of what we're doing, and I would think we can always do just a little bit more. Okay?
Yep.
All right, so with that, we're done with doing this. but our meeting is not exactly over because we have persons wishing to address the board on closed session items. So these are the first ones we already did, so we can pass those over to Maria. So Paul Hagan, I'm calling on you to, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. I thought, were you sitting someplace else earlier?
Yeah, he was over there.
You were over here somewhere.
He's still here though.
Hi, Paul Hagan. I'm a teacher in the district, teach at Ben Franklin Middle School. I have a few notes here. And I'm speaking on, I understand that you're going into closed session to discuss the negotiations with the AFT. I understand they're pretty good people, so I trust that you will lead in this respect with your, continue to lead with your minds and your heart as you go into closed session. This is very important to us, and I know that you understand that. I can't believe that you let that blended learning model go by. I'm just going to ad lib for a minute here. Blended learning model, remember the blended? I was just wondering, like, if you implement that too quickly, do you get like brain freeze? Because I always like mine stirred as opposed to blended. Okay. And thank you, Manufu. I also was going to request that we acknowledge the passing of Rajon Jackson at this meeting. So thank you very much. He was a student of mine in 6th grade. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Good to see you, Paul. So we don't have any more other sheets to speak to us, so we're going to convene to closed session, but we'll take about a 5-minute break. Okay, everybody? Oh, yeah, let's do the moment of silence now, so that, while we have our folks here, sorry. Saddest thing is to lose a child. Okay, thank you so much, and we're going to take a few minutes break here and then come back to closed session.